Hello and welcome to the Experiencing Love podcast. I'm your host, Philip Jocks, and I'm so glad that you're here. Truly, the time does fly, especially when you're having a good time, especially when you're enjoying yourself. I'm sitting here at my desk, ready to record for probably the last hour and a half, but I'm just messing around. I have a big smile on my face and just having a good time, and little do I know, little do I realize, time has flown. I don't regret it. I'm not mad. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it just reminds me about time. And there's been so much that's been happening recently. On the topic of time, I woke up today, immediately getting a late start to the day. Nothing wrong with that. I enjoy that. I let that happen. And the reality is that getting a later start to the day does have an impact on my life and on the people around me. And I wasn't awake to answer a phone call. And it was an important phone call from my family. And when I finally did wake up, I had to do some crisis control, we'll call it. It wasn't a huge crisis, it wasn't a huge problem, but I had to do some fixing while I was getting on to the computer to start the day. And it was great because I was worried for just a moment. And I stopped myself, took a deep breath, and just remembered that everything happens for me, not to me. Everything happens for me, and there's a reason that I slept as late as I did, and I missed the phone call. And rather than get upset about it, rather than lash out at the people around me, I took responsibility. I admitted I made a mistake, and I also made the best of the situation. I looked at what was going on, and I made sure to ask myself different questions. One like, what's an opportunity that I have now that I didn't have before? What can I do now? What have I learned now that wasn't true 12 hours ago? And I used the answer to that question to make the best of the situation, and I think I left that situation happier than if everything went right the first time. I was more fulfilled, I was more pleased with myself. I think I was pleased with myself not because of the outcome, but because it was an example of the person that I'm becoming. It's not the destination, it's the journey. I've talked about this so many times, and I'll continue talking about it because it keeps that focus on that part of my life. I'm always so focused on myself and who I'm becoming and how that's the real answer to fulfillment and happiness. Because that's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me feeling those things. It keeps my brain trained on that area of my life, on that area of focus, and creates more of it. And because of the whole situation, I also had an incredible conversation with my family. One that started with me admitting my mistakes and then opening the conversation up to what I can do better, what they can do better, because there was a mishap, there was a mistake. There's room for improvement from all sides. And I love working with other people to find those solutions, find those options. It was a great way to spend the day, because even though I could have been doing so many other things pertaining to my work, building my website, creating more content for my social media, for this podcast, I chose to spend it with my family. And that lifted me up, made me feel so good. So I'm really grateful for the day I had. As time went on, I enjoyed myself, I enjoyed my family, I ate a delicious dinner, then I ended up going to the gym, and I came back, and here's where I returned back to the topic of time. I was informed that someone from a community, a church community that I was a part of, a young person, passed away recently. She was about 16 years old. I didn't know her personally. I didn't even recognize her from her picture or her name, but it was that simple fact that a young person, super young, 16 years old, just passed away. Immediately when I heard that, 3 lines popped into my mind. I quietly told myself, no tomorrow is guaranteed, no today should be wasted, and no yesterday was an accident. Everything happens for a reason. I will always say that. Sometimes those reasons are hard to see, hard to understand, hard to accept. But nothing happens by accident, because life is always happening for us, not to us. When it's our time, it's our time. When it's our time to make a decision, we make it. When it's our time to be rewarded and experience a good thing, we experience a good thing. And when it's our time to leave this planet, we leave this planet. No one knows how many tomorrows they have left. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed for you. It's not guaranteed for me. Every time we wake up in the morning, we're lucky to get another chance. We're lucky to get another chance to do something different, try something different. And because of that, no today should be wasted. That's not to say that you have to be a workhorse 24/7, because I believe the only way to waste a day is to not appreciate it. If you appreciate your day, whether it's a rest and recovery day for your mind, for your body, for your emotions. Or it's a day where you're in peak performance and you show up and you grind and you work and you exercise and you do all the things. As long as you're there to appreciate that you have another day, it's not wasted. You're feeling and doing exactly what you're supposed to, what you're meant to, because life is happening for you, not to you. And with that in mind, there is no yesterday that was an accident. You can't get to today without surviving, overcoming, experiencing yesterday. You can learn from every single experience you have. You can grow from every single experience you have. Because I believe when you call something an accident, you're subconsciously saying that it wasn't meant to happen. And if it wasn't meant to happen, it has less value than something that was meant to happen. But I simply believe that it all happens as it's supposed to. Because there is no accidents. There is no difference between something that's on accident or on purpose. Because in the grand scheme of things, especially in terms of looking at yesterday, intentions no longer matter. That sounds radical, so I want to explain. When you look at the events of the past, you can claim what your intentions were. But maybe you've had this experience where you learn a new piece of information. Maybe you read a book, you talk to a friend, or you just sat and thought long and hard about the events of the past. And you find that it has a new meaning. And now all of a sudden, your intentions shift a little. You may use different language to how you think about that event in the past. So when I say that intentions don't matter, what I'm saying is that you had intentions in the past that resulted in an experience. But when we talk about the past now, we often talk about it with the lens of the present moment. Regardless of what your intentions were, the past happened. You changing your intentions changes nothing about the past. What it changes is your present day understanding, view, perspective, and maybe even appreciation of the past. But I look at the past as very factual. The past is filled with events that happened. The present is filled with our interpretations, our intentions, what we believe the past means. And our future is filled with our imagination. The future hasn't happened yet. It's a blank canvas. The past does not dictate the future. And so you look at the future and you have options. Truly, everybody has options all the time. You are never left with just one option. Now, I'm not saying you always have 3 great options. Sometimes you have 3 really crappy options, but you always have more than one option. It might be 1 good one, 2 bad ones, but there's always more than one option. And it's important to realize that because if there's 1 good one and 2 bad ones, chances are there's a second good one you're not thinking of. Chances are there's a third bad one you're not thinking of. Chances are there's so many other options that you haven't even begun to think about. When I messed up this morning, it opened my eyes to options that I didn't see yesterday. I didn't even imagine them. But because I messed up and it disrupted my pattern and I had to actually think about it, I realized that by my messing up, I was granted the opportunity to think of my options. So the moral of this episode really is no tomorrow is guaranteed, no today should be wasted, and no yesterday was an accident. How are you spending your day today? How are you interpreting your past? And what are you imagining about your future? We're not here to suffer. We may choose to suffer, but we don't have to. Pain happens, change happens, and this too shall pass. Everything will move on. So if you're suffering now, if you're hurting now, it's perfectly okay to appreciate those feelings, appreciate those sensations. And then just ask yourself, how long are you willing to feel that suffering before you're ready for something new? Before you're ready for the next step, the next emotion. No today should be wasted. So whatever you're feeling, just remember to appreciate that you had today. You have today, and every tomorrow becomes today. I hope you have a beautiful today. Remember to always fill up with the love. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I love you.